Hi everyone! I am working on filling my freezer today with some homemade bagels and tortillas. So I hope you all join me for a bit of a bulk cooking day. But before we get started, we're the Canny Couple. I'm Julia. Erin is not behind the camera today. It is just me. So please forgive me if I forget to do something or miss something. And we're the Canny Couple. We work every single day to merge homesteading and frugality, living the life we want, being less dependent on outside sources. And bulk cooking for me is all about filling my freezer with food for my family, food my family enjoys eating, and also keeping my ingredients very simple and very wholesome. So I can use these in multiple ways, very versatile. So we're doing tortillas and bagels today. That is my goal. I want to get 24 tortillas, and that's not a lot, but I'm going to do a 3 times batch of my tortilla recipe. We did a couple of weeks ago, and the reason I'm only doing 3 times is because I'm hoping to eventually get to using sourdough discard tortillas, which would be healthier for our family. And we're also going to do a 3 times batch of bagels, and that would be 24 bagels, and that is quite a few bagels. So we're going to do a few of them in blueberry, but most of them in plain because I don't know if Erin will like the blueberry or not. This is going to be new. So let's get started. So here I have my water, my warm water for my bagels. And we're going to go ahead and get this going with the sugar and the yeast. And I need to get 6 tablespoons of sugar because this is a 3 times batch. And 5, 6. I forgot my yeast, so I had to stop the camera to go and get that. And for our yeast, we need 6 teaspoons. So I'm going to pull out my teaspoon here. And I actually think I did a 1/4. So for one batch, I did 2 1/4 teaspoons. So I'll probably do 6 3/4. 1, 2, 3. Put those there, and I might need to reuse these for other items, so I'm going to leave them to where I can if it's needed. Okay, there's my yeast, and we're going to give this a quick stir just to get everything moving, and then we just let this sit for 10 minutes till it becomes, you know, bubbly and yeasty the way it needs to be, till it starts that process. So we really like to have bagels. I feel like they are just the best grab and go in the morning because I can have them ready to go in the mornings. What I do is I will get them ready with cream cheese, and I'll make them like a cream cheese sandwich, or you can use eggs and things like that. And I can just put them in a baggie, grab the baggie, and we go, and we're done for breakfast that morning. And Erin really likes them as long as I make enough cream cheese. Or put enough cream cheese. Cream cheese has gotten expensive, especially around here. It's just so high. And you don't even get the name brand anymore. The Philadelphia, forget it. The cheapest I have seen Philadelphia has been like $3, which is insane. I think the cheapest I can get it is at, I want to say Aldi's. Okay, I have it sitting here. We're gonna let it go, and now we're going to get our dough started for the tortillas. Now it's really important kind of do this in a certain way. You might hear my thing go off, and that's because I will have to do a stretch and fold on some sourdough that I'm making. We'll talk about that in a minute. So in here I already have, I'm doing a 3 times batch, so 3/4 a cup of water times 3. I'm going to add my oil, my salt, and then I will do my flour. So I need 3 tablespoons of oil. Times 3, so I need 9. That was about to be bad. Sorry, I'm counting. Does anybody else just go, just start counting, and you always get interrupted? It never fails when I'm doing things like this. Aaron comes in here, he's like, want to talk, and I'm like, could we please not right now, just not right now, not while I'm counting, because it's always when I'm doing like a big batch of like soap or something, I'm counting 16 cups of water. He'll come and he'll just start jabbering at me. Never ever fails. A half a teaspoon of salt. So I need 1.5 of those. We are using our Redmond's real salt, which you know we love in this house. It is so good. It is just, it's one of the best. And I just refill this every time it gets empty or close to it. I have some, and we just have some in a bucket as well that we had. And we don't really use that much of it, but I do tend to refill it. And now we're going to add 6 cups of flour to our liquid here. And I like the tortillas. They're so easy, and they did freeze really well. And for tortillas, these are my go-to in the evenings, on the weekends, meals. I like to make quesadillas and things like that, things that are really easy, but also for lunches, because you can use these to make those little hot pocket like things, and they're amazing. And I think this bag of flour is just about done. It is, and I didn't quite have enough. I was worried about that. I've been using, doing a lot of sourdough starter. So we've been really getting my starter going and getting it good and healthy. So I've been doing a lot of, you know, feedings to get it to where it needed to be, because it had been in my refrigerator. God, when did I buy it? We bought it months ago. Back when we got the pears, I think. Maybe even the peaches. So that long ago, that's when we bought the starter from our local Amish store. And I kind of just held off on starting it because I knew I needed time to manage it, because sourdough is time intensive. It's not hard, it's just very time intensive. And I'm going to start with 4 cups of flour and start mixing this together, and then add my other 2. I'll probably need to use my hands. I also got my pastry dough cutter to see if I can use that to kind of help pull it together and not have to use my hands as much. I'm going to start mixing this in. And as you tell, we did go and pick up some King Arthur at our local, or not a local Walmart, but at a Walmart. We had to drive. We had a hard time finding a Walmart near us that actually had any. And it's over $1 cheaper if I get it at the actual, versus my actual grocery store. So anybody else dealing with allergies right now? I don't know what y'all's weather is like, but here we are going from 70-degree days to 30-degree days in 24 hours. So it's killing me. It's killing me. I cannot. I feel like I'm about to get sick, and I always do around this time of the year. But I can just tell that my allergies are just not liking this. Okay, there's my 6 cups of flour. We're just going to keep incorporating and getting this in. I'm already getting foamy. I can see it on my bagels. Just going to keep mixing. But we love tortillas, and I want to have enough of these in the freezer. In all reality, for about a month period, for as many as we eat and the things I plan to do with them, I probably need 80 at a given time. But I feel like 20 is a good start. 20 is a really good start, and I'm going to have to go to the hands. Just because I need something for Saturdays and Sundays for lunch, because it just, those are my stressful times. I already know what we're having most of the week and most of the time. Sometimes I have to, you know, switch up my plan, but for the most part, we already know what we're having. And it's Saturdays, it's Sundays that it's more stressful. And I will say that meatloaf I made was amazing. And I don't like meatloaf, but I can make a barbecue meatloaf. Aaron loved it. I made him a meatloaf sandwich. He was obsessed. Obsessed. He thought it was the best thing ever. And it just worked out really well for us. I liked having it. And I didn't even pull it out of the freezer. I just took it frozen into my little convection oven, and it cooked in 25 minutes with some potatoes, and it was perfectly cooked through, heated, and everything. It was just really good. We're just going to get this all incorporated, get all that flour in there. I'm really excited about these. They were really good. I will say that I need to make sure I'm putting like freezer paper or wax paper between them when I freeze them. Something to keep them separated. So as I need to pull them out, I don't have to pull out like a whole bunch of them. Just to make life a little easier on me. But Isabel even liked these. I didn't know how she would, go with it. But she's actually enjoyed these too. We just keep folding this in until we get our nice pretty ball. And then we're going to let it rest for about 10 to 20 minutes while we work on our bagels. I'm just checking my timer to see when my last stretch and fold is. My first time making sourdough bread from scratch. I am using Farmhouse on Boone's recipe because I couldn't find my kitchen scale. And hers seemed very, very simple to follow. I'm not a sourdough person. I have no intention of selling, but I want to be healthier for our family. And I really think sourdough is something that's really going to help us because of the health benefits from sourdough, where it's natural, wild yeast, and it just makes the most amount of sense for us. And Aaron loves sourdough. So we're starting with real bread for the first time. We'll see how that goes. I'm expecting fail. I'm expecting a massive fail. I'm not expecting this to be pretty. I'm not expecting it to taste good. We'll see. I'm expecting these to be croutons in our reality, which Aaron will be happy with too, because he loves croutons. That is like one of his favorite go-to snacks, and those are easy enough to make. Okay, there we go. Here it is, my dough for the tortillas. Very, very simple. We're going to set this to the side. Just 10 minutes while we work on this. You can tell, oops, hate when that happens. We are foamy. That's all we're looking for. Okay, so I had to clean my hands and get ready for the bagels here. And have my bigger bowl. This is what I'm going to do to let them rise. I don't know what size this bowl is. I have no clue. My Graham gave me this bowl. But I want to go ahead and get the oil in it so it's ready to go whenever I'm ready to transfer. And the principle here is like you would with bread. All you're doing is mixing your ingredients. They're a little sugar heavy. Well, not really, because you typically use like 1/4 cup of sugar. But all you're doing is, it's the exact same principles. It's just the recipe's just a little bit different. Okay, we're going, and there's no oil in these. So just salt, and that is 1.5 teaspoons. And we're doing it times 3. So 3 teaspoons or a tablespoon of salt plus 1/2. So I can go ahead and do one of these, and then I'll do 2/4. And then the flour, and that is between 3.5 to 4 cups. So we are going to go ahead and start with 5 cups of flour. And you could spoon your flour in. I've never had an issue not spooning my flour. But again, I'm just started home baking for real. I mean, I've always been able to do it. It's just time didn't permit, or my bandwidth didn't permit. I could have found the time, but I wouldn't have gotten any sleep. And sleep is important. I'm at 3 cups. I need to do 2 more, and then we will go from there. I know I'm going to need a little bit more than that. 1 more cup, and we'll start mixing. Okay, there's 5 cups. So I have a question. Is it weird that I'm one of those I don't cook unless my hair is pulled back or up kind of cooks? Because I watch all these ladies who've been doing this for years and years and years on YouTube and everything. They don't pull their hair back. And I'm just like, how do you make sure? Maybe they know a trick I don't. Because I just know, like, you get hair in your food if it's not pulled back. That was how I was raised. My mama said, you're in the kitchen, you keep your hair pulled back. So what am I doing wrong? So if you ever wonder, like, why does she always have her hair pulled back? It's because I'm in the kitchen. And you just pull your hair back in the kitchen. Okay. I'm just curious. Is there something I don't know? Am I missing something? Because I always feel like they look so glamorous. Jim Morrell Stewart looks so glamorous in the kitchen. And I'm just like, I feel frumpy. I'm going to add 3 more cups of flour here. And then we'll add 1 more if we need it. But I'm also very simple, and I don't do makeup, and I don't do a lot of hair stuff. All I do is wash it, dry it, then go right to braid, because I've got too much other stuff to do. I don't leave it down. I feel so frumpy when I compare myself to others. See how this pulls it together. So how many of you all are bagel people? Like, either you like them or you don't. I'll tell you, during our house remodel, bagels were what saved me. For breakfast, that's what we had for weeks on end, were bagels. We had bagels, or we had cereal, because it was just, there was no way I was cooking breakfast on top of everything else. So we do need some more flour. It's coming together, but you can tell, oops, my countertop is clean. I do need another cup of flour, and I'm gonna have to get my hand in here. Get this off of here. Now, big kind of obsessive about keeping my kitchen clean, especially since we're filming in here so much anymore. I think it helps, just so I'm not like having to do like a full-time clean right before every single filming. So I've been kind of obsessively compulsive about keeping my kitchen really, really tidy. But it also keeps me on track. I don't have to worry about dirty dishes in the sink. I always have my dishes clean before bed. It's, again, one of those things that I'm sure, like a lot of people would say, I'm a bit compulsive on, but I really think it helps. I actually feel like I'm going to need 1 more cup. It's still really sticky. Which it's supposed to be somewhat sticky, so I don't want to make it too dry. My last ones were a little too dense. They were very good, but they were very, very dense. And I'm just folding it in here, kneading, just to kind of get it to the consistency that I want. But as you can see, it's actually coming together really nicely. And I'm not going to get both hands in here. So I have a clean hand. I always try to have a clean hand when I'm cooking. I want a clean hand, a dirty hand. That way I can turn everything on. I actually think I'm at a really good dough consistency. It is very sticky. Last time I made these, I had to use wheat flour. And when I used the wheat flour, it took a lot of wheat flour. I added like 3 extra cups of flour because of that wheat. But I know wheat flour does differently, like pure 100% wheat. And so I was very careful, but it was very wheaty. They were good, but I'm not a huge fan of that much forward wheat flavor. I much prefer a much lighter bagel. So I'm really excited about these. And we're just gonna get these over. I'm gonna take a little bit of oil. Just take some of that oil and pat it into my bowl. As you can see here, it looks so pretty. And okay, so let's get these tortillas finished. My dough has had a chance to rest, and I didn't get my little separator, and that is okay. I'll use something else over here. Got everything cleaned up. My bagels, we will let those rise until they double in size, about an hour, hour and a half. And then we'll come back to those. I'm just kind of working this dough out so I can start the process of separating it out. And I do not want to use a super sharp knife here. I pulled the knife out of my dishwasher. It was clean. I just have not emptied my dishwasher yet. Pulled a butter knife out. I was trying to get my filming done today, so I was a little slower on actually getting to all of those things that I would normally work on in the first thing in the morning. But I also had the sourdough to do. So normally it's the very first thing I do is I make coffee, I empty out the dishwasher, and I am behind today. So we're gonna get 12 rolls out of each of these halves. It's my goal. So what I will do is I'll cut them in half again and get 6 from each, and then make them into the balls, and then we will roll them out and get them in the skillet. But I am gonna go ahead and get this skillet going. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna turn it on a medium-high heat. And you see another bowl, if you could see it, that is my sourdough. And I'm just putting the tiniest drop of oil in here, just enough to keep everything from burning. We're gonna get 6 balls here off of each of these. Actually, these are kind of small, so I'm gonna get 5 off of this one and 6 off the other one, 7 off the other one. If you don't have anything fancy, butter knives work. A butter knife does just fine. It will do the job you need it to. And I'm gonna have to pull one together. 2, 3, 5, 6. So we had a bit of a mishap with the camera, and I do apologize for that. But right now, I got all of these rolled out. I had 24, and as you see, they're rolling out really pretty, and I'm getting these fried up. So this one I got a little bit too dark, but most of them are looking really, really good. I'm really happy with them. They're hot. I might actually make something for lunch with these. But I'm just getting these fried up. I only have 3 more left. Had to pull Aaron to do the work, and I'm just rolling these out. Just trying to get them as flat and as big as I can. They're not beautiful. They're not like super pretty, super fancy, but they will do the job. That's all we care about. Getting that job done and having some really good and tasty things to go in the freezer so we can use these in different ways. I'm really looking forward to having some buffalo chicken once. That is really one of those things I enjoy. And I might make these a little lighter than what a lot of people would do. I prefer my food not to be burnt. That's kind of like a thing with me. I don't like burnt food. I don't like a burnt pancake. I don't want it super brown to the point where I'm going to taste the burn. I like mine just to be lightly done. I will err on the side of being lightly cooked versus overcooked. And throw that in there and get it laid out flat. Then I have one more left. And I'm going to pause for right now. These we're going to finish up, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do with these bagels. Okay, so here are our bagels, and you can see here are our beautiful tortillas. I'm so excited about these. They're going to be wonderful to have in my freezer. Here's our bagels. Lovely, big, nice and pretty. And I'm just going to drop it onto my mat here. Get it all off. And if you all are wondering where I got this bowl, it came from my gram. I have no idea where it came from at all. All I know is it's very old. I don't know the exact size of it. And I'm going to dust some flour because I can tell this is very, very sticky. And I'm going to do this in 3 batches. You can see, oops. I didn't realize I had that in there still. I have some blueberry here that I'm going to fold into some of this, and that is for Aaron because he is not 100, like he likes a bagel, but if he has his choice, he wants it with just, he wants a blueberry, he wants a flavor. What are your all's favorite types of bagels? Leave that in the comment below. Oh, that's much better. Just needed that little bit of flour to make it not quite so sticky there. It's a really pretty dough. It really is. So I'm going to divide this into thirds, and I got my tool out this time. Let's see. Let's do here. And he also told me he didn't want them as big. So I might get more bagels out of this because I was told, please don't make them as big because it's hard for me to eat them. And please do flavor. Those were my 2 requests here. So depending on how big these are, I might actually get 10, so that would be 30 bagels in my freezer. And for us, that's 15 Saturdays, 15 Sundays if we're going yard selling. I feel really good about that. I also have a pot of water here that once I set these to rest, I will be able to get that started. So I'm going to split this up. I'm going to divide this into 5s. 1, I don't know, these feel awful small. So I probably will just do 4. This one's a little bit smaller. Okay, so this one I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. And we're just going to roll them into little balls. And then you just put your finger into them and roll them around. And these are not like the most beautiful bagels you will ever see. Not from me anyways. There's a lot of people out there who've been making them for a really, really long time. I'm just learning. And I just look to make, I don't care that they're not beautiful. I care that they taste good. That is my biggest thing here. I just want something that tastes really good. It's going to be good for my family. They're going to enjoy eating, and we can get a good few meals out of them. I do like to do that because it kind of separates the dough a little bit. But Aaron did tell me, he's like, I would like these to be a little bit smaller. They were way too big for him. He said, I feel like I'm just chewing and chewing. And again, I'm so sorry about earlier when we were rolling out all the tortillas. I wasn't expecting that to happen. Aaron wasn't either. He's the one usually in charge of all of that. The dough turned out really good. It's very airy. It's got bubbles in it, which I'm cool with. So it should be good and light. And again, I don't really care about these being the most beautiful things in the world. I care about them tasting good. That is like my biggest thing here. Some more flour on my fingers. And I did not rewash this mat. So before you all yell at me, I don't tend to rewash when the ingredients are like almost exactly the same. And that doesn't seem like that seems silly to me personally, because what's the point? Like, what is the point at that? You're just wasting your soap if the ingredients are the same. Or like if I have a pot that I'm cooking pasta in, but I'm gonna make spaghetti, I won't wash that pot. I'll just make my spaghetti and add my pasta in after. That's how I roll. I like to keep things simple. To me, it's just kind of a little bit wasteful to use the soap and stuff to clean it in between. We're going to let these rise about 10-30 minutes, and then we will boil them and then bake them. You only boil them for about 30 to 60 minutes. You don't want to boil them too long, so it makes them chewier. It just depends on the flavor you like, or the texture, not flavor. And again, after you boil them, you can add any flavoring you want to the top. If you like cheddar and jalapeno, anything like that. We are so simple. I like a plain bagel. I don't want anything in my bagel. I do not want, I don't want onion. I don't want everything bagel seasoning. I don't want any of that. I just want a simple plain bagel. That's all I care about. This one's going to be bigger. I'm still working on uniformity. I've always had that issue. Whenever I'm working on things like this, I will always have one or two that's bigger or smaller. Anybody else struggle with that with their baking? Okay, I'm gonna roll this one out. And this one I will get 10 from, because I can tell you it's thicker. It's not as soft as that other one was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, I got a little bit more than that. Pull a little bit from here. So I'm going to pull a little bit from here. Dough is very forgiving. I feel like, again, it's one of those things that a lot of people are like, you can't do that with your dough, and you need to make sure you're doing it this way. And I know these look very small, but I would almost rather than be small and us have to have like 2 versus them be too big and Aaron not actually be able to eat it. And it's not that he doesn't, he eats enough. It's more of a texture thing for him. He does not like dry food. It really bothers him if it's dry. He needs a lot of sauce. So, you know, we put a lot of flavoring, a lot of seasonings, a lot of sauce. He cannot eat dry food. Dry meat, he will chew and chew and chew. You can see it in his face if it's dry. You can just tell he's like, it's just one of those things we've learned to deal with. Just pinching it on the ends, and I want to go ahead and get these rolled out, and then we will do the blueberry, because I'm going to show you how we're going to roll that into it. And actually I might go ahead and do that right now so I don't bore you all to death with all of my talk here. So Aaron's going to be super happy about this, so I'm going to spread this out a bit. I'm actually going to add another little bit of flour here. Once I add this blueberry, my hands are going to need to be washed. That's just what it is. I've already tasted it, and I've got a spoon here. And I'm going to fold the blueberry in. I could have added it to the dough, but it would have required another bowl. And I can just fold in this blueberry and it'd be okay as well. And this is just some home canned blueberry that I home canned for Aaron. It's some blueberry jam, so it's got a little bit of sugar in it. Yeah, I can already tell you it's going to be a little bit messier than the other. And that is okay. This is like one of the airiest doughs I have ever made. We're going to pull that over here. I will have to clean this before I clean this pretty heavy. That is okay. Add a little bit of flour so it's not quite so wet. But I do want to make sure he has quite a few blueberries in here because he is my blueberry connoisseur. I might have to roll them into it. And you can do it that way, kind of like a bomb. I'm going to pull some of these extra out of here. Just to make sure it's got enough blueberry in there for him. And we're just going to keep rolling. He will be excited to have actual blueberry bagels versus plain ones. He likes the plain ones. He will eat them, but if he has a choice, he wants blueberry. I'm struggling a bit with this one. This dough is just very, very moist, but I'm expecting it to be a much lighter bagel compared to what I had the other day, which should be very good. These are not going to be the prettiest bagels, but they are going to taste very, very good. And next time I might actually just mix it in. We'll see. We'll see how these turn out. If they turned out that good, it's worth it to me to have a bit of a messier experience, but I think we're okay. And I only used 3 spoonfuls, so probably about a tablespoon and a half. All right, well, I'm going to keep rolling these out and making a mess, and we will show you what these look like before we drop them in the water, and then we'll boil them and get those into the oven. Okay, so we are back. As you can see, my bagels rose. They look really pretty. These blueberry ones look lovely as well. Aaron's going to be super excited about that. And what we need to do is we need to put these into our boiling water here. And we're going to do it for like 30 seconds on each side. So I'm just going to drop them in. I'm going to make sure I have my holes open where we let these rise. And then we'll give them just a few seconds. So flip them back over and then take them out. And then what I will do is I will lay them here on this towel before I transfer them back, so they can get the water off of them, because I don't want to put the water into the oven. I also have my oven going at 425. So it is preheating. You might hear my little one. She is eating lunch. I had to feed her and Dad. So doing the good mom thing and getting everybody fed. And I just used the towel that I was using to covering, and I actually got these at Royal King years ago. Years and years ago. And they worked out really well for me for these projects. I actually got these a little bit too close together when I was setting them, so they're sticking a bit, which is okay. Again, I'm not selling these, so I'm okay with them not being the prettiest in the world. Do I want beautiful bagels? Yes. But do I care more about them tasting good? 100%. I'm going to get 4 in here this time. You see, these turned out really pretty. I did add a little bit more flour to kind of help hold it together, but they turned out really lovely. I think Aaron's going to like those quite a bit. Then I just kind of pat these off, and I will get them pushed back over onto the tray. And you bake these at 425 for about 20 minutes. They do not take very long at all to bake. And you will tell a difference once you stick them in the water. They kind of feel gummy. They feel gummy. They don't feel like what you expect them to feel like. And I'll even do the blueberry on here. I don't care if this gets stained. All this is used for is for me to do my proofing. It's not like a towel. It's just my proofing towel. And I've got a few of these that I got them at Royal King. Oh God, years and years ago. Try to find some more. And that's what they were. They were called bread flour sacks. As you can see, this goes really fast at this point. And this is, I mean, this might be considered the hardest part. To me, this is like the easiest part. I'd rather do this all day than knead. And again, just give it a couple of minutes. Make sure these got most of the water off of them. And get them transferred onto my baking sheet. I did have to throw one of these away. I had it is Virginia. Our weather is getting warm, so sometimes a bug gets in the house, and I had a bug fall into one, and I was like, okay, into my compost bin you go. One of those things you have to deal with. Do you all, I mean, we haven't had a lot of bugs, but sometimes we do. It just depends. Like one year we had a really bad ladybug infestation. Like they just came out of everywhere. And you could not control them. You could not get rid of them. People had them, I mean, absolutely everywhere. Lately it's been stink bugs. Have been really bad. And everybody we know, and it's mostly people in Virginia, they're all having the same issues. No matter what we do, no matter how you do, you cannot seem to control how many are around, where they are. It just seems to be getting worse and worse every single year. So I wonder, is anybody else having those issues that are like not in Virginia? Or if you are in Virginia. I'm just curious. Can get 5 in here this time. Kind of pull these over to the side a bit, and then we'll do the blueberry. Some of these did get a little bit of blueberry on them. I'm cool with that. I say that a lot. I'm cool with that. I'm okay with that, just because it's not so much that it's really going to bother me when I eat these. Because most of the time the plain ones will be me, and if not, Aaron will eat some of them too. I need to flip these. And then one day I will show you all how I make mock cream cheese if you all are interested. It works out so well. It tastes so good. It's so simple, so easy, and it's not real cream cheese like what you would expect. like from the grocery store. But it works as a really good substitute if you're cool with it. I'm always looking for an alternative, especially a cheaper one, and this is so much cheaper. I mean, so much cheaper compared to what cream cheese is. So we'll bake these in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes till they're golden brown. You know what to look for in a bagel. I'm really looking forward to making sourdough bagels or discard bagels. I think those will be a wonderful addition to our freezer and be healthier. I get one more. These shouldn't puff up anymore, so I'm going to try to get as many on here. I just know I need to make sure they bake long enough. And I'm probably overcrowding my pan just a little bit. I'm okay with that. Get those flipped. And I'll probably put some more on here as well on this other pan. I don't like cooking on these, but have not found a good alternative yet. What are you all using? Do you all just use glass baking dishes? Or what are you all using for a cookie sheet that's not non-stick? I'm curious. I've yet to find something that is actually going to work for us. And I have been searching. I have looked. It's so frustrating. Everything they make now is not what I want. It's just not. I actually think the blueberry bagels are going to be prettier than my plain bagels. It always works out that way. Erin gets the pretty bagels. Oh, and you can brush these with egg white. I will brush these with some milk. So I will do an egg white substitute. I will do milk instead. Just because eggs for us right now are so expensive. We don't have any egg production on our homestead at this point. Hopefully soon, but not yet. And it's just, I cannot justify the cost at this point. So milk works fine. I did that last time and it worked really well. All I do is I put milk in a bowl, brush it. It's a good substitute. You don't need a lot. You just need a little bit. Milk is much cheaper for me. Has anybody else's eggs went up in price? Or is this just us? Because our eggs, I have no idea what happened. Before I was able to get them at 99 cents per thing. Cheapest you can get them is at $3 per dozen. I mean, it has gotten crazy. Everything is getting so much more expensive. I don't understand where the extra costs are coming from. I don't understand. I think I'm a little frustrated with the cost of everything at the moment. These are almost done, and as you can see, I really didn't get anything on my little mat. And again, the only reason I use it is because I was already using it for proofing the bagels. So to me, it doesn't make sense to dirty something else or, use parchment paper and let it soak that up because it's a waste of the parchment paper. I already have to wash this. I might be too practical. Whenever I was watching Living on a Dime, she said, I'm too practical at times. And I'm like, okay. And everybody's like, well, why is that a bad thing? I'm like, I totally get you. I can be practical to a fault. I understand where that comes from. because people look at you like you're crazy because you're like, well, that's wasteful. Why would I do that? Why would I not just reuse this? I'm all about how can I make the most out of what I already have? How do I do more with what I have? How do I stretch this further? How do I make it work better? How do I use less soap? I use less soap by using this 5 times because then I don't have 10 towels to wash tomorrow. How do I make these things go further? I'm just curious. Am I like the only, I feel like I'm on an island sometimes because it's just how my world works. Get my oven turned off. Pat these down a bit. And I am going to wash my hands and then I'm going to get the milk and I'm going to show you what we're going to do here. Okay, we are ready to do the egg wash. You see, these look lovely. I'm excited. They're not as ugly as I thought they'd be. They're pretty. For homemade bagels, they'll do. And now we're just doing a simple milk wash on the top. And again, you can do an egg wash. For me, I'm using milk because milk is more cost effective, and this is just one of those changes that I felt like I had to make because of the cost. Milk's a lot cheaper for us because we get it, you know, 2 at a time. We buy a bit in bulk on milk, but that's because the little one, she does drink milk during the day. We only have her drinking milk in the morning and in the evening. It's not with meals. We did do it with meals. We were told not to do with meals, but it works out really well. And after a certain point, she's like, nope, I'm ready for water. So she's a water guzzler. I'm going to carry my little bowl here. This is really all I do whenever I do anything like this. I just lightly put on. I actually probably got a little bit too much milk, but that is okay. And for the amount of bagels, I probably could have done an egg wash and not feel like I was wasting the egg, but eggs are so expensive right now. I actually got some at Aldi's because they were a little bit cheaper. I was able to go through and price compare everything, and we were out running, and I was like, okay, let's go to Aldi's. They've got cheaper eggs, and got some cheese, some eggs, and what else did I get? Something else. Oh, no, we got bananas at Sam's. They were cheaper there. All right, these are ready to go in the oven. I'm going to get these in the oven at 425 degrees, and they're going to go in for 20 to 25 minutes until they are a beautiful golden brown on the top. When we come back, everything's going to be done, and I will cut these bagels open to let you see what they look like on side. I'm real excited about these. I think Aaron's really going to like them, so we'll see you here in a bit. Okay, so everything is done, and here are our bagels. They look absolutely beautiful. They did get a little bit darker on the bottom than I wanted, but they're still okay. Actually, I've already fed over half of one to the little one. She's begging for it, so if you hear her going, she's telling me to bring her some more. Here are my others. They turned out really well. Also, I think I need to adjust the settings on my oven. I think I need to do 400 instead of 425, just to kind of test that out. And I went ahead and cut one open. So you can see this is the blueberry. And Aaron did try them. He said he wishes there were a little bit more blueberry, but they're really good. He really liked the lightness of these. They're so light and fluffy. You can kind of see they've got a good spring to them. And they're just so airy. They really do have a nice taste. I was actually surprised how well the little one ate one. And I will go ahead and cut open one of these plain ones. And yes, I'm cutting towards my hand. It is okay. You hear her. So you can see these are really beautiful. Oh, they smell so good. But thank you for joining me today. Leave any comments down below or email me to thecannycouple@yahoo.com. Check out our link tree to see all of our other content. And as always, thank you for joining us on The Canny Couple, where we work hard, live simple, and enjoy life. Have a wonderful day.